there, yarn lovers, it's Gary and I'm coming to you from my craft corner here on Vancouver Island in Canada. And today is Sunday, September the 26th, 2021, and this is episode 123. So for those of you who have been following me for the last month, I've been talking about packing up my old place in Vancouver. I was living in the west end of Vancouver, which is very close to the downtown core, and hubby, my husband, and me, we were packing up house and with the intention of moving here to this new spot on Vancouver Island. And so this episode will be talking a little bit about, my yarny crafts as well. But later down the way, I'll update everyone on all of the fun shenanigans and all the nuances of moving house and setting up, and a little bit of an update as well on what I've been up to. So I'll push that to the end. I'll put all the yarny goodness in the front of here of the video. And for anyone who is just happening across this channel for the very first time, hi, my name's Gary, and I set this channel up to talk about all of my yarn crafting. So that is with knit, crochet. I do dabble a little bit in hand dyeing of yarn, and I talk about acquisitions as well as where to buy them. So that's yarn as well as my tools for my craft. So if that kind of thing is of interest to you, please stick around and think about becoming a yarny friend by hitting that subscribe button down below. So yeah, and for those who are returning, I want to say welcome back. I've been loving all of the comments. The last little bit of maybe 3 or 4 videos, you've been giving me well wishes on my move and hoping that it would be a smooth transition. So I want to say thank you for those wonderful comments. And I love you guys so much. You've always picked up my spirits whenever I read those comments. If I'm feeling a bit down with a move, there's a lot of stress, moving parts and all that sort of thing, keeping it all together can be quite challenging. So going back and reading all of the messages have been a great inspiration for me to keep going. And I want to say thank you very much. I do appreciate those messages. So yeah, what have I got for you in this episode? Let's take a look at my notes down here. You might see me casually, glancing down here towards the ground, reading my chicken scratch. I've got some works in progress. I actually got one work in progress. I've got some finished objects. I'm going to be talking about some make-alongs that I've joined and have completed some of the pieces. And I also have catch up. So what I've been watching on TV whilst packing boxes. We're still living in amongst a whole sleuth of boxes here in the new place. I think the last count was 120 we had all together. And I think we've found opened 20 boxes and found places in our new place to put them. So that's been a lot of fun. So my husband Chad and I have been figuring out what closet or what cupboard space is good for, I guess when you're thinking about planning on using the space, what makes the most sense to put things where they should be. So that's been a little bit of a jigsaw piece. Sometimes we've faulted and we've put some things in a cabinet thinking this would be a good spot, and then figured out that through our behavioral movements through the space, it makes better sense to be somewhere else. So we're kind of taking things out of those cupboards and putting into the new spot where we think it works best. So yeah, a little bit of hit and miss with that. So it's a lot of fun regardless. And so I think that sort of talks about everything. If I've forgotten anything in the introduction that I want to throw in along the way, then it'll be a bit of an organic piece, and we'll just run with whatever happens when we're talking here. So finished objects. Okay, so my first finished object is a knitted item. It's a cowl, and it's called the Rippling Fans Cowl. Now I will link all the patterns that I mentioned down below, and any connections that I can give you so that you can link to them for ease of your access, then you'll be able to find them. So this is called the Rippling Fans Cowl by Gladys We. I'm not sure whether it's free, so if you want to just go across and have a check, if you like what you see that I've made and you want to try it out yourself, then just go and investigate. It'll be a quick discovery. So here it is here. It works up into this lovely lace pattern. And I'll try it on for you. I've got some photographs that I'll also enter here, but as I'm putting it on, I'll cut over to the photographs and you'll be able to see me wearing it in some stills. So I'll be back in just a moment. What do you think? It actually has those fall colors, which is quite apt for now. And I wouldn't wear it with a checkered shirt. I'd probably wear it with the black shirt like I had done in the photo shoot that I had taken of wearing this. And I absolutely thought that it draped wonderfully. So let's take a look at the yarn that I used to create this Rippling Fans Cowl. And I have a few here. I held 2 fingering weight yarns together, and this being one of them. It was a gifted yarn from Tracy Fowler, and it was her knit crate Vitellana yarn called Linen Jewel, and it is a combination of superwash merino, linen, and silk, and it is in the colorway Midsummer Rose. So really, really nice color there. And I paired it with this one here, and this one is Yarn Bee authentic hand-dyed yarn in the colorway Lilac Luster, and this one is 100% superwash merino. It variegates. So those two together made the tops and the bottoms of the cowl. So I really like the way that it's speckled, and it made it a little bit more richer having this held together with it. And I put in a request to a good friend down in Chicago. Her name is Kit from All Things Crochet and Knit with Kit. Hi Kit. And she went and did a bit of shopping for me, so and sent me this wonderful yarn along with some other yarn as well. The third yarn that I used was the mustard color. Now I ran out of the mustard, but I do have a little bit of this honey colored, so it's a little bit more yellow, and it's in the same type of yarn that I had used for the mustard color. And this one was bought from Hobium maybe about close to 2 years ago, and it is their crystal yarn. It is 100% acrylic, and they have 2 threads together, and the threads are kind of around fingering weight, just a little less than fingering weight. So held together, it does mean that it is a heavier fingering or into a sport weight yarn. So yeah, I used that for the central piece here of the lace work. And the needles that I used were a 4mm needle, and I had, it was a 3.75mm set of knitting needles, and it was the metal circular needles that I had used from Loops and Threads. I'm a very loose knitter because the pattern does call for a 4.25 set of circulars, and I went to a 3.75 to get the same kind of drape and feel in the fabric. So really, really nice. I had fun making it up. So a little bit of counting is involved, as well as once you get the first pattern down, you kind of can read your stitches to know what happens with the rest of the repeats. And I believe that there are 16 rows. Let me just double check of the pattern. There are 20 rows of the pattern repeat. Next up is a crochet piece that I finished, and that is to a pattern that Crystal over at Bag-O-Day Crochet has created, and it is the Easy Cowl or Shawl crochet pattern. I believe the tutorial, if you're interested in it, is 575. I'll add it down below as well. Recently I purchased Crystal's thumb drive of over 300 patterns, and it's a brilliant purchase and very, very affordable for the amount of crocheting that can be done from what's inside of the little thumb drive. So yeah, this is the printed pattern. It just tells you there on what you need in the bold. So it goes through the type of yarn, how much yarn is needed, and then the type of stitch work that you use as you go through the pattern. So really, really well written, and a nice, beautiful pattern. So I won't be able to show you all of this in the pattern, the frame, but I can lift it up so you can see how it turned out. I've striped it in 3 or 4 different yarn that I worked up, and the edging as well. I completed the edging with a single half double crochet, and then I went around the half double crochet round with a reverse single crochet to get a nice kind of ropey feel across the border. It's kind of like my new favorite thing to do, I think, with crochet and finishing off the edging, is to do the reverse single crochet. So it gives a nice little patterned border. Now I have some photographs that really detail the kind of drape, because this has been folded up and has been stored in the move. It does have a little bit of relaxing to do again, and getting out the creases. I might have to just dampen it again so that I can block it. But I have some photographs of it that I can share with you in this video. I'll just jump back and tell you what kind of yarn I use after the photos have finished screening. Okay, what was used in that shawl was, the majority of it was willow yarns, and it's in their Rise variety of yarn, or their collection. And this is a combination of cotton acrylic. It is considered a 3-weight yarn, and it's kind of a motted, almost like a heathered style yarn. And the colorway that you're looking at here is called Storm. I think it's called Storm. Let me just look. Stonewash, sorry. It's called Stonewash. So really aptly called. I love this yarn. Working it up was a dream. It did not split, and it pulled back okay. Once I had made a mistake, I could like unravel it, and it was not catching on itself. Very, very soft and great against your skin. So no undergarments required for this type of yarn. You get lots of yardage in here as well, and I thought it was a really good value for money. I can't recall how much I'd spent on it, but I recall thinking that it was a great value, and I'd love to get some more. It is, how many yarns do you get in here? I think it's 150 grams. I'll just take that off because I can't see where it is. Yeah, 150 grams, and in which you get 435 meters. Now, I had paired it with a few yarns, so that's the main one that I had used. The 2 other ones were from Loops and Threads, the Meandering Serpentine, and that is classified as a 4-weight yarn, but it is quite a thin 4-weight yarn, so it worked well and paired well with the 3-weight that I was using. Now, this is the label here that was left on of what I had used, and it was in the colorway Mint. I also had a mini that I had used, and that was in the colorway Lilac. So there was a bit of purple as well as green used in the fabric here. So there's the lilac there, and there's the mint that I striped through as well. On the ends, I used another yarn that was generously purchased for me when Kit went shopping, and was in the sale that was going on at Hobby Lobby for, I guess, 3 months ago. They had that big sale. So I got some of this cotton here. I think it might be cotton acrylic. Let's have a look. Yes, cotton polyester, 90% cotton, 10% polyester. It's a 2-weight yarn, and it is called Rapology Hues, and the colorway is called Jeweled Dragonfly. So that's it there. I used that on the edge. I have a whole bunch left, which I think I might be making into, I don't know, maybe something else. Maybe I'd like to try a washcloth out of this and see how it works up. So yeah, again, that was on the edges here that I used the Rapology. Yeah, it was a lot of fun working this one up. and it worked up super quick. I think I finished it in, I'm gonna say maybe 4 days of like evening work, watching movies when I had a break from packing, and it's been with me for a while. But I have made that one because there is a make along that's going on right now till the end of September 2021, and it is hosted by Jill at Fiberfloozy and Daniel from the Paw Ply Guy. I'll add anyone's YouTube channel that I mentioned throughout this video down in the description box. And it's called the Bod Along. So Bod standing for Bag-O-Day, and anything that you make and you want a hashtag to join in, you hashtag it Bod Along, and you have to email your finished items to either Jill or to Daniel, and I will link the where Jill and Daniel talk about the I guess the commencement and rules of this make along, and it sounds so exciting. I absolutely loved making this. It's so squishy, and yeah, so that's my entry. The next thing that I want to showcase, I don't have in hand right now, but it is a scarf that I gifted over to a family member who was celebrating their birthday on August 31st. It was very fall inspired colors, and I have some photographs of me modeling it before I handed it over, and I'll insert them here. So what you can see in the scarf that I'm modeling is very autumnal colors. I've used 2 types of yarn, and the foundation yarn that goes all the way from start to finish is the universal yarn called Classic Shades in the colorway Chili Pepper. Yeah, that's right, Chili Pepper. So very rich, dark colors. And every couple of rows, I think I did 4 rows of the universal, then I switched up to a different yarn, and it was the King Cole Chunky Value yarn, and I switched up colors after maybe blocks of, I'm gonna say this big, what's that, like maybe a foot of knitting. And I switched up the colorway Spice, which is a mustardy color, with a color called Midnight. So those were the 2 that I had used up. That turned out to be an awesome blend because the classic shades from Universal weaved in and out of those hues as well, so kind of faded in and faded out as the striping kind of went subdued in some parts and then very, very striking in others. So I really, really liked the way that that worked up, and I'm thinking about doing some more because I have some more of that King Cole left, and I have a couple of, where are they, here, variegated colors as well from ICEYarns that are kind of similar to the universal variegated that I used in that scarf. So I am super happy that it was well received. The next thing that I finished is a knitted pattern. It wasn't actually to a pattern, it was just me learning a stitch from my dictionary that I've got on my bookshelf, and it's the 1000 Japanese knitting and crocheting stitches, and this is called the honeycomb stitch, and again it's a knit pattern, and here it is here. I absolutely had a lot of fun with this. Now there are different patterns that for the honeycomb, which allow you to stretch out the honeycomb in more of a hexagon shape or more of a narrower shape. So I chose a little bit of a narrower one. I didn't want to stretch the slip stitches too much for my first attempt, but now I'm quite confident in it. I think I might do a couple more rounds of stretching out that hexagon and pulling on those slip stitches to make them a little bit more the same height as they are width, rather than elongated like this. So I've got some photos of this that I will show of my husband wearing it and also me. So here it is here. So what did I use in this, I'll just put it on while I talk about it. There we go. I really, really like this. I want to make another one with, what have I got? I got latte cakes from Caron, and I have a gray color and yellow left over, and I want to do that as the main kind of structural part of the hexagons. I think they're hexagons, aren't they? Yeah, they look like hexagons. And then use like different scraps to go behind that framework. So I think that will look very, very interesting. So yeah, what did I use? I used a combination of different little nuggets here. They were scraps and a main color, which was also a big nugget of scrap. And it was from the wool cord Aran Ice yarn in the colorway called Gray and Gold. This color here was also used. I haven't finished it, so I might use it in the next one, but it is a hand-dyed yarn that I cooked up in the kitchen, and it was over the Peyton's light gray marl, and I overdyed it with some fall colors, so different rusty browns and a little bit of like a green is in there as well. So absolutely had fun with that. So I got a little bit left. I also used a bit of the Lion Brand Mandela ombre yarn. No, I don't know what colorway this one is. It's the kind of grays, I think. It might be called Cool. I think it might be called COOL. So I got a little bit left of that. And I used a bit of cookie yarn. And this is in the colorway, what was this one? Mustard. It's actually quite, it variegates between this kind of deep, almost like a black, but a charcoal, sorry, a burnt brown color, and then it goes into more honey tones and mustard tones in the cake. So I've got a lot left of that one, and I used Crammy yarns in the, I'm not really sure what this one is called. I wrote it down. Let me have a look. It's called Perfection Chunky in South Mountain, and that one is a marl as well. This one's actually classified as a 5 bulky weight, and the rest that I'm using are 3 and 4s, but I didn't mind. They worked up really well. Oh, here's a little bit more of that wool cord Aran. The other thing that I used I've ran out of is the Cascade yarn, and it's the Effects, so 220 Effects, and it is a superwash merino, and it's a tonal yellow. I don't know what the colorway is. I think the colorway number is 10. Oh, it's called Harvest. There we go. I looked that up. So yeah, each little stripy bit was probably around 15 grams of yarn, and yeah, so that's how it worked up. I repeated some of them, and I really, really like it. I'm going to do a few more like that. Now, this is also an entry into a September make-along, and that is hosted by Judy at Which Piece Craft, something that you would hashtag Scraptember AU, and AU stands for Australia. So you might want to let Judy know as well that you're entering, perhaps maybe emailing her. I'll add the video down below where Judy talks about her make-along as well. Now I am going to showcase the work in progress that I'm doing, and I've been wanting to do this pattern for a while, and the yarn that I chose was something that I recently bought from Webs, and it's the Louisa Harding yarn, and it's the pattern called Storm from Joji Localetti. So that's it there. It's a paid for pattern, and it's knitted, and I'm almost done. I think I could finish before the next podcast, but this is how it looks. You work it kind of like top down. So if I turn it the right way like that, this needles are still jammed in the bottom here. I'm using a 4.0, like a 4mm set of knitting needles. They're wooden and they're from Chiagoo, and the length is 29 inches. I think it's 29 inches. Yeah, so it uses a lot of drop stitches and I'm enjoying the learn. I've never done drop stitches before. A little tip, if you do tackle this, this pattern, is that when you are doing your wraps to do the drop stitches on your needles, keep them very, very loose. I would say even loose enough so that when you are wrapping and you then complete the stitch, that you see a lot of give in the wrapping, that it's not so tight, because as you slide them down off onto the cable part, if they tighten up, you'll never get them back onto the thicker part of the needle tips so that you can work the next row. So I had trouble with the first set of drop stitches that I did. So I had to cut the yarn, unravel all of that tangle that was bunching up on the cable because it wasn't going onto the needles, and then retrieving all the stitches for this first I guess embarkment of the drop stitches. I had to pick those all back up. There weren't too many. There was probably, I don't know, maybe I'd guess maybe 80 stitches. So I had to retrieve them all and then have another go at doing the wrap and sort of like making it nice and loose. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. This is definitely a piece that will need to be blocked because of all of the drop stitches being just like needing to relax and stretch out so that the piece is more of a crescent shape rather than bunching up and being more of a banana, mangulated banana shape. So yeah, so as you can tell by the cover image here, it's like a crescent shaped shawl. Having lots of fun. Now, what am I using is the Louisa Harding that I purchased from Webs, and I think this was on a discount. And I'm not sure whether they were discontinuing the color of this particular line or whether they were just getting rid of the line altogether. But this one is the Pictura collection, and it's in this beautiful, almost like it has the mohair halo on it already. There's no mohair in it, but it does have the fuzz. Very, very super soft, and it has a little bit of a sheen too as well. So it is 75% wool and 25% viscose. It is a 2-weight yarn, and in this ball you get 100 grams, and the colorway is called Starry Night, which is ode to Vincent van Gogh. And what else can I tell you? 400 meters or 437 yards was in the ball, but I was looking for one skein or one ball 100-gram projects, and this one fit the bill perfectly. And then they have a couple of other ones from Joji Localetti that are one skein or one hank 100-gram projects, and I'm looking into doing another one which is called the hipster shawl or the light hipster shawl. Okay, so I've been really good with not buying any yarn for a really long time over the course of a month of packing, and I have gotten some wonderful gifts in the meantime of yarn, so I haven't really had a need to buy any new yarn. But I have purchased my first interchangeable set of knitting needles, and this was quite a process. I must admit, it's the Chiagoo stainless steel interchangeable set of needles, and it's the complete set in their 4-inch needle, short length needles. So they do come in a choice of the longer needles, which is the 5mm, or the smaller needles, which is the 4mm. And what you get inside is, whoa, some cables that just fell out, but a little instruction booklet here of what is in all of the kits, and then the interchangeable connectors, as well as keys, and the different types of needle joint areas. Now these are the stainless steel variety, and they're really, really beautiful. Absolutely nice points there. This side here is the set from 2.75mm all the way up to a 5mm, and that's what they're calling the smaller needle connector pieces. And this side here is the 5.5mm all the way to 10mm, and these are the connectors that they're calling the large connectors. So in the cables, what they're putting in for the complete kit is 3 small cables, different lengths, for the small connectors, and 3 different length cables for the large connectors. Now, all of these can be joined together to make different lengths when needed, but I'm thinking what I might do is add to this collection and get the longer length cables, which I know that they go up to 40 inches is another one that I like using a lot, and I think they might even have longer ones as well, but I think I need to add to the collection and add the 40-inch cables for both the small and large connector pieces. So I'll need to buy 2. And the length is important because I like doing shawls or blankets, so I want to have the length to get more stitches onto the circulars. Absolutely am thrilled with it. It does come with other things as well, like little stitch markers and a gauge, a little punch hole card gauge of like how thick your needles are, like that there, and keys and little connectors are in this little Ziploc bag, and there's all the different types of stitch markers. And yeah, so I'm really happy with that. I purchased it on Amazon, and the seller was someone in UK, so it did take a while to get to me. I think maybe 6 weeks all up. There are a couple of people who have asked me about some advice for choosing a set of needles, but I always kind of refer to a 3-point rule when people ask me that. I suggest looking at tension, like what your tension's like. If you're generally a tight knitter, perhaps maybe a wooden set would not be the best for you. Something like a stainless steel where your stitches can glide a lot easier would work best. If you're a loose knitter, perhaps maybe the wooden needles would be good so that you're not losing stitches. Just as a general rule, looking at your tension is key. Also, how much money you're willing to pay, because there are all different types of grades of materials used in these sets, and some are more affordable than others. The other one is like versatility and whether you can add to your collection when you purchase it. So for example, if you want to add longer cables, or if you want to add a collection of needles that will then click into the system that you've purchased in your interchangeables. So those are all pretty much key elements, but in doing so, I think a good rule of thumb is to just buy one off of each of the styles that are out there that you're thinking that you might enjoy, whether you want to try a little bit of wood, and then try some metal, try maybe a knit pride, and Chiagoo, higher, and any others in between that I might have missed. That will be your best way of making an educated guess at which kind of interchangeable you would enjoy and use the most. So yeah, I'm now going to be chatting about some other things that have been going on in my move life. So thank you for sticking around with me if the yarny content is the thing that you wanted to hear and not so much about like what's been going on here. But as you can see, I have started trying out different wall units to store my yarn in. And this one behind me is from Walmart, and it's their 9 cube mainstay put together yourself branded type of cube shelving, and I really like it. So I think I might try purchasing another set of 9 cubes and then making an arrangement for my back wall here. And my idea is to go up the wall, but also I have another space here for another 9 cube shelving, and maybe do 4 altogether. So I'm just testing this out right now, but I have a question for all you yarny lovers out there on how do you categorize your yarn? Like, how do you put them together? Do you put them through a color system where you are batching colors together? Do you choose yarn weight? Like all my 3s are over here, my 4s, my DK, my and so on and so forth. Or do you do brand? Like I like all my Lion brand over here. I've seen a couple of podcasters out there who use different systems, and I think the brand might be the winner so far of like how people categorize their yarn when they're storing it. But I'd love to hear your way of organizing your yarn as well. And if you've got a system that I haven't even thought of yet, please write it down in the description box below, because I'd love to, or the comment section below, not the description box. I'd love to learn more about how you set up your yarn. The other thing that I have to talk about was the bittersweetness of like having to finally do the last walkthrough of the apartment. I had lots of help by wonderful people who came across and helped me clean. There was a request that we wash down all the walls because it is in an older building and the walls were quite high. I think they're 11 feet high. So that was a last minute request. So I was like really anxious 2 days before the handover of the key that I hadn't quite finished all of the cleaning that needed to be done. So I called on a couple of helpers, and I just want to give a huge heartfelt shout out to the people that came across with step ladders and sponges, and we had a little workforce going through just making sure everything was clean for the walkthrough, and that went smoothly. Thank goodness. And I have a small clip here that I want to share with you, and just so that you can see where I used to film and where I lived in Vancouver, and I'm going to add that here right now. It's our last day at our 501 address. Hi, sweetie. We're going to go in. Let's go and see where Mummy is. This is the apartment to... And, oh, sorry about that. This is the spare bedroom. Look at that. Okay, so in here we just had lots of different storage, as well as Chad did his school marking through in this room. So, yeah, awesome. We're gonna really miss this place. So you walk through, and now I'm gonna turn to the left again, and this is the kitchen. Very, very small kitchen. One person can fit in there. And our new kitchen is a bit bigger, so we can actually have 2 people in there. I'll just turn that light off. And here is where I used to do my work. So that's my office space. And We had some clothing, filing cabinet, and not much of a view looking out from this side of the building, but the nicest part of the building is the front rooms. This is where I used to do my video recording for Urban Yarn. In this room here, this beautiful kind of an archway window and a ornamental fireplace. And this is where I had the love seat and I would film my Urban Yarn episodes. So, it's got that echoey sound now because everything has been taken out of the building. And here is the bedroom. So Chad and I used to sleep in this bedroom here. We had a little clothes rack and it was a really nice big room. And we'll just take a look outside the window. Here we go. That's our little courtyard down there. Yeah, the ceilings are really high. I'm thinking maybe 11 feet tall. Old radiators in each of the rooms kind of gives us a clunky quirkiness about the building, and the floorboards are very squeaky. The next thing that I need to shout out as well has been the wonderful support and encouragement and the send-off that I got from all of the friends that I have made in the Vancouver area. Not that I've moved so far away that I will never see them again. It just takes a lot more effort and I guess coordinating to get back over to the mainland where Vancouver is and to see everyone again. So I want to just shout out all those people who really gave me a great send-off. So that's my next door neighbor. We had a beautiful dinner and just a great conversation over good wine, and also some people that I have met here from YouTube, two friends who live in the lower mainland of Vancouver, lower mainland. We've met a few times, so we went out for a meal and they treated, so that was really sweet. And just an old friend of mine who was my very first roommate. We moved into that apartment together. He had left, I think 3 years into the 18 years that I was living there, but moved into a neighboring suburb of Vancouver. And we all got together, all these friends that hadn't seen each other for like 6 or 7 years, for a big meal at his place, and that was a lot of fun. So yeah, it kind of was a good send-off, and made me feel that there was still connection there, which is great. Really like the friends that don't hold anything against you if you haven't been in communications for a while. You can pick up from where you leave off. It's not I called you the last 2 times, why didn't you call me back kind of thing. So yeah, not tit for tat. It's just like, good friends are always there. And when you meet up, you just pick up from where you leave off. I really like that. So, that was such a sweet departure, seeing all these people that I hadn't seen in a very, very long time. And I guess that brings us to what we've been doing when we have arrived here, other than just unpacking boxes, and still have a lot to get through. But we've been doing little walks down to our area that we have, shopping area, as well as some park area. We live alongside a creek, and a lot of our walking has been along the creek, and salmon are coming in from the ocean and they're spawning. So they've swum all the way up to the freshwater creeks where they were once, I guess they were born themselves, and they've navigated to the spot where that had happened, and that's where they're spawning, and they're in their numbers. it's so fascinating to see. So I'm gonna add a clip at the end of the little creek that we cross over, and you can see the salmon just sort of like, you know, struggling to get upstream, and they're kind of like meeting up with partners and they're pairing up. It's really a breathtaking view. So also another thing that's happening, being in a smaller town, is that we're noticing a lot of friendly people. We walk down the street and they're all smiling, they're all greeting and saying good morning or hello, and that's awesome. We love it so much. So it's a change for us, having been in a big city where there's a lot of compartmentalizing of, you know, people not wanting to interact, or they're just sort of like head down, straightforward, need to get from point A to point B. And also all of the nuances that happen in a larger city as well. We're not having to see all of that here in a smaller community. And we're enjoying it. It's like a breath of fresh air. So, okay, couple of things that I've been watching on as movies and series that have just started up again. I want to flag if you're interested in putting it into your list of things to watch, in case that you're crocheting or knitting and you're thinking, I need to kind of like, you know, chill out and just relax with a movie or with a TV series. Was a movie called The Good Liar. Now, this is quite a suspense slash almost a thriller movie, but more of a suspenseful and twisting movie. I really enjoyed it. It stars Helen Mirren and Ian McKellen, and I absolutely was intrigued. That's what the word is, intriguing movie. And if you're interested in finding out like twists and turns, this is a great story for you. The other one is Immortals. Now this is more of an action-packed movie, and it has like gods, Greek gods, as well as the mythology of Greece, and it's a period piece, so it's back in ancient times, and I really enjoyed that. That was just sort of lighthearted and just action-packed, so you could just, you know, chill out and not have to think too much behind what's going on behind the scenes. It's pretty much, you know, played out easy, and it doesn't have much of a, you know, you don't have to think and ponder too many of the aspects and nuances that happen when you're watching a little bit more of a suspenseful or thriller movie. But I had a lot of fun watching it. Now, another series that just started up again, I think we're in season 2 or 3, is Sex Education, and I absolutely laugh every time I watch it. So we have seen the first episode of the new season that came out, but you can pick it up at any time that you want. There are some storylines that continue through, so if you kind of like don't grasp what's going on, if you haven't watched it from the beginning, you can kind of like figure it out yourself what's happened. So that's really nice. And each little vignette as well has stories that conclude within the vignette, but larger current storyline that carries on throughout each of the half hour, might be 45-minute segments, like the actual episodes. Now, I think that's it. That catches you up on everything. Having failing light right now, it is quite a grey day today, so I'm gonna stop, and I think I've caught you up on everything. If I have forgotten something, I'll add it into the next podcast, and I hope everyone's staying safe and, you know, having a great week, and I will catch you up in the next video. Bye for now.